If you're new to backpacking, or even if you're not, avoiding the mistakes that I want to share with you today will make your time on trail a lot more enjoyable. This first one is the second most common mistake that I see out on trail, and that's a poorly fitting pack. There's a standard approach that you need to be following when fitting a pack, and contrary to what a lot of people think, your height has nothing to do with it. The measurement that you really want to be looking at when fitting a pack is your torso length. In order to measure your torso length, you want to be finding two different points on your body. First of all, you have your hip bones. So you want to find where the hip bone is. It's a kind of pointy, hard bone on your hip area here. And then you follow that around to your back and take note of where that point is. That's parallel to the hip bone. And then you bend your neck forward and find your C7 vertebrae. So that's the first vertebrae that kind of pops out. And then you straighten your neck and you measure the point between your vertebrae and your hip bone, and that's your torso length. Torso length is the measurement that pretty much every pack manufacturer uses for sizing their packs. A lot of them will have different sizes like small, medium, or large, and within those sizes, they'll accommodate different torso lengths. Because of the intricacies in fitting a pack, I highly recommend that beginners get a pack with an adjustable torso length. With this Gregory Stout pack, there's a piece of Velcro that holds the shoulders in place, and then once you detach that piece of Velcro, you can slide the shoulders up and down the pack, making the torso length smaller or larger. Being able to fine tune the torso length of the pack is going to make it a lot easier for you to get a good fit and be comfortable out on trail. The biggest problem I see out on trail with pack fit is that people have a pack where the torso length is too long for them, and that's going to cause a couple different issues. First of all, it probably means that the hip belt of your pack is riding too low, and that's not going to effectively transfer the weight of your pack to your hips. You want about 70% or more of your pack weight on your hips, and then the rest on your shoulders. If your hip belt's too low, you're not going to get that effective weight transfer to your hips. If you do have your hip belt properly situated, but your torso length is still too long, you're probably going to get bowing in your shoulder straps, and your shoulder straps aren't going to be carrying any weight, and that's going to be a lot of load onto your hips. Once you know how a properly fitting pack feels, that's going to make it a lot easier to get a good fit with any future pack that you might purchase. Raise your hand if you've ever gotten a blister while backpacking. I used to get blisters all the time due to poorly fitting shoes and boots and bad socks, and if you've ever had a blister before, you know how painful it is and how much it can just derail a hiking or backpacking trip. But I found a system now that really works for me, and I haven't had a blister in over 8 years. Everyone's different, but there's 4 things that I really think that you should be considering when putting together your footwear system. Number 1, make sure that your shoe is long enough. You should have about a thumb width between your big toe and the top of your shoe, and then make sure it's wide enough. You shouldn't have any pressure on your pinky toe. Number 2, make sure that the heel is snug enough on your foot. Some shoes have really wide heels, and if it's not snug enough, your heel is going to lift up in that pocket and you're going to get rubbing, and that's going to lead to blisters. Number 3, and this one's going to be a little bit controversial, and that's to use a synthetic sock. Synthetic materials are going to hold onto moisture a lot less, and they're going to dry a lot faster. As well, they're going to hold their shape a lot better than materials like merino wool. For a lot of people that I've advised, shifting them away from a thick merino sock to a thin synthetic sock has made all the difference and gotten rid of their blisters completely. Number 4, get toe socks if you get blisters on your toes. Toe socks just consist of these little mini socks that go over each toe and separate them, and that's going to really help alleviate a lot of the rubbing that you might get between your toes, which is what leads to blisters. Garage Growing Gear, the sponsor of today's video, just started carrying what's quickly becoming my favorite sock. They are toe socks made by Exoskin. These are very similar to my go-to Injinji socks with quick dry properties and then individual mini toe socks for each of your toes to help with toe splay and prevent blisters. But they have some features which I think takes them beyond Injinji socks, like improved durability, copper within the yarns to help reduce odor, and then PTFE yarns, which helps reduce friction between your toes and the other parts of your foot in order to help reduce blisters. Garage Growing Gear also has some of the best customer service out there. Send them an email if you're looking for some help with which pack to pick as well as how to pick that pack. They're also more than happy to provide some gear recommendations. They're hikers and backpackers just like you and me. And if you end up with a pack or any piece of gear that just doesn't work for you, you can send it back using their free return policy if you're in the US. What that means is that they will send you a free shipping label, and all you have to do is pass it on to the post office. Check out the guide that Garage Growing Gear has for how to select and fit a backpack at the link in the video description. What do you do with your dirty dishes after cooking dinner? I see a lot of people take them down to the closest river or lake and wash them there. I used to do this myself, but the food particles and soap, even if the soap's biodegradable, can negatively affect the water body. Ideally, use a little bit of water, put it inside the pot, and then you use your finger to clean up everything that's inside the pot, including your utensils, and then you drink the gray water and food particles afterwards. If that's a little bit too gross for you, or you want to use soap in order to do your dishes, the other option is to go 100 meters from the closest river, lake, or water body, dig a hole, wash your dishes, and dump all of the gray water into that hole, and then cover the hole back up with dirt. Well, it may not seem like a lot to do your dishes in a water body. If you have a lot of campsites along a river or around a lake, and people are washing their dishes every day, day after day, it's gonna end up having a big impact in the long run. This last one is the biggest mistake that I see on trail, but I'm not only gonna tell you what the mistake is, I'm gonna tell you how you can fix it so that you're more comfortable on your backcountry adventures. The mistake is assuming the weight of gear, thinking it's lightweight, but not actually weighing it. Hear me out. So many people I backpacked with keep adding weight into their pack until it's full. They pick up a piece of gear like this crock here, they weigh it in their hand, seeing how much it weighs, but really have no idea. This ends up with a pack weight that's quite a bit heavier than it needs to be. There's a saying in backpacking that ounces equal pounds and pounds equal pain. What this means is that every bit of weight adds up, and just a few pieces of heavy gear like this crock can all of a sudden have your pack weighing pounds more than it needs to be. A good example that illustrates this is clothing. I have here 2 sweaters. They look very similar. You put them on trail and they're pretty much the same for warmth as well, but this sweater weighs half as much as this sweater. In order to determine whether gear that you're bringing on backpacking trips is heavier than it needs to be, I highly recommend picking up a kitchen scale like I have here and then weighing all of your gear and then writing down those weights. Or if you're feeling fancy, then the website lighterpack.com is a great way to keep track of all your gear weights, and you can make custom gear lists as well for different trips that you're going on. By weighing all of your gear, you can see where you might be able to shave weight down. I do this exercise a lot with people I go backpacking with, and we're often able to lower their pack weight by 5 pounds or more just by leaving behind or switching out some of the deceptively heavy items. If you're curious how you might be able to shave weight from your pack, go check out my ultralight gear list video. I show all the weights for gear in that video so that you can see where you might be able to lower your weight with different gear items.